everybody. So now we are moving on here to Unit 1.2. So, again, write it in, Unit 1.2. This is on page 18. And this is compound interest. Now, there's going to be three different units where we look at compound interest. So you can think of this as like part one almost. This one's going to be pretty short and sweet. So last time, as a refresher, we looked at simple interest, which is where your money grows. Like if your principal, if I borrow $1,000, I have to pay $1,100 back. If I have $1,000 in the bank account, they might give me 50. At its core, that's what it is. It's a cost or a gain when money is lent out, either to you or from you, because no one does it for free. Now, with compound interest, it's that same concept. Your investments grow. It's just calculated slightly differently. And so starting out here, you're going to want to put in this definition here. Compound interest. Interest that is earned or paid on both the principal and the accumulated interest. So what's different here is this accumulated interest part of it. Oh, I got to move my cat out of here. Sorry, buddy. There we go. He's going to get all over the place otherwise. So, so again, the really key word here is the accumulated interest. So before, let's say, for example, if I were to give you a $10,000 loan, it's 5% interest, it's accumulated annually, and it's a 5-year loan. Well, we would take our formula, like, oh crap, what's the formula for compound interest again? Look into your notes. I equals PRT. I equals PRT, right? The interest rate is equal to the principal, $10,000, times the loan, 0.05, times all 5 years. I promise you I'm going somewhere with this. Sorry, I want to calculate this 1 year, for 1 year. The $10,000, $500. My interest for 1 year of that 5-year loan is $500. So for 5 years, it should be $2,500, right? $500 times 5 is $2,500, right? That's how much interest again. Yay! So your total loan's worth $12,500, right? Simple enough. That's simple interest. Compound interest goes a little bit differently. So this is year one, right? So what I'm actually going to get you guys to do here is I'm going to get you to draw yourself a nice table. So I'll get you to do this. 2 and 3. So should have 4 total categories and a header here. So pause the video, get this down. 3, 2, 1. All right, so I'm going to put the year here. I'm going to put the amount. I'm going to put the interest for that year. And I'm going to put the amount end of the year. Now, this is going to be similar to this chart here, right? Year, interest earned, accumulated interest, year of investment, so on and so forth. Right? It's a very similar graph here. This is just to show you an example. I'm going to take this example here. Oops. I'm going to take this example here. I'm going to put this here. So let's change our text color here to, I'm going to put green. Why not? So let's assume, here's a compound example, a $10,000 loan. It's 5% compound interest. Look at that compound word there is important. It's accumulated annually, and it's 5 years. So it's the exact same thing as above. The only difference here is the loan is now compound instead of simple. And you know what? I'm actually going to go in here and just quickly add a little note here that it is in fact simple interest in your other example. All right. So now in year 0, I start out with $10,000, right? At the end of the year, I have $10,000. And we're going to calculate year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5. We're doing this manually. You're obviously not going to have to do this manually the whole time. There's ways to shorten it. But at year 1, um, I'm we have to think like what's the interest for 1 year of this loan? Well, we just calculated above. It's $500, right? So it's $500 is what I end up with. Oh, or sorry. The amount I start with is 1,000. I gain $500 of interest, right? That's the calculation up here. That's what that is. Now the amount for that year means I'm ended up with 10,500, right? So for year 2, so I start year 2 with $10,500. Now I don't just gain $500 of interest. No. Because remember, I'm gaming it on the accumulated interest. My new principal for this year is not $10,000. It is $10,500. So I need to still gain that 5% interest on this $500. Right? So new calculation, 10,500 times 0.05, right? 5% interest. And this is just calculated for year 2. Oh, well. I've now made $525 this year. I've made an extra $25, right? Where does that $25 come from? It comes from this $500, right? It's 5% of that $500. So now I'm ending this year off not with $11,000. No, with $11,025. Now that doesn't seem like a lot, right? $25. Nah, who cares? $25 in a year? Who cares? I want you to apply that though to think about how much money there truly is. How much money does a bank have? How much money does MasterCard have? How much money does a car manufacturer loan out for people buying cars? When you factor that in, you are talking billions of dollars. Right. And so I just continue this on. So, oh, yay, it's $11,025. And same thing. I now have this extra $25 that interest is accumulated on. So I repeat the calculation, right? So 551.25. I add that in here, right? So now I have $11,000, 576.25. Looks right. Double check. Never a bad idea to double check, right? Yep, that's right. And so same thing. I'm going to start the year off, year 4. That's what I start with. I'm going to calculate that interest. So 1,1,576.25 times that 0.05. And it's being calculated for 1 year. Right now, this 1 doesn't matter. It will matter later, though. So don't forget about it. So $578.80. Now you're looking at here. I'm dealing with money. I don't have. So here's $500, $70, $80, 80 cents, 1 cent. I don't have 0.2 of a cent. I don't have 0.25 of a cent. That doesn't work. So $578.81. Right? So now I add that in here, 578.81 plus 1,1,576.25. 12,155.6 cents. And one final calculation here. Times that 0.05 times 1 year, one final year, $607.75. 607.75 plus 1,2,155.06. So $1,000 Sorry, $12,760.81 is our final answer here. Now, I really want to make a note here. The difference between our simple interest and our compound interest, look at the difference. That's about $262. That's the difference between these two numbers here. You should be able to see my mouse. So that's what compound interest here is. It's really simple. I'm gaining that interest on the accumulated interest. Now, if I have a mortgage, for example, and a mortgage is accumulated like monthly and it's like a 25-year, I would have this chart would be, what is it, 12 times 25? That'd be 300. 300 of these long. You're not going to do that by hand, right? And that's dealing with much larger numbers. So there's ways to shorten that, which we're not really going to fully get into today. That's a next lesson thing. But I do want you to think about that right now we're doing it manually, so we better understand it. There's going to be formulas for it. So I do want to quickly refer to the textbook here. Our key ideas here. Same thing, right? You do want to bring in your key ideas. You always want to bring this in. So write this down. I know, write in. I'm just writing in what's in the textbook. I always refer to it. No, write it down. You'll learn it better. So the key idea here, compound interest is determined by applying the interest rate to the sum of the principal and the accumulated interest. Now take a look at the chart here. Stop writing, look at the chart. Simple interest, it goes up the same amount every single year, right? Up here, it was plus 500, plus 500, plus 500, plus 500. Up here, it was plus 30, plus 30, plus 30, plus 30, plus 30. But we saw that was not the case with compound interest. 500, 525, 550, 578, $607. It goes up and up and up and up and up and up and up. And it grows at an accelerating rate, right? This went up $25. This went up $26. This went up $27. This went up $9. Now there was some cents there, and this isn't saying it just goes up by $1 every time. There's a rate to it. The point being is it increases more and more and more and more and more and more and more. So if the same principal is invested in a compound interest account and a simple interest account, then the compound interest will grow faster and it will end up as a larger sum. Again, look at this chart here. We'll deal with that a little bit later. So let's say here's an important part though. So generally speaking, it's at regular intervals. If it's done annually, it is at the end of the period. So annually is once a year. So it's done at the end of the year. If it was done monthly, it would be done at the end of the month, right? So what you should be doing now here at this point, really simple. You should be completing. Oh, X. Here we go. So complete section 1.2 in textbook, right? Page 19, not a lot of them. Best you can. Then complete section 1.2 in the workbook. And then complete the assignment. So easy as is, that is 5.2. Shouldn't take you that long to do this. All right, good luck. If you have any issues, let me know.